pressure in here in Columbia is for me to not even vote red on the board. Y'all might not know this. A dark money entity that was created on Tuesday, the day after we voted for this, I went home and a attack piece went out in my whole district about the fact that I voted for this. I get that the people in Columbia, that the lobby wants me to either not vote or to vote green on this, but my constituents want me to vote red, and they want their tax money spent on core government functions, on their roads, on their schools. That's what they want their money spent on. So, they don't want us in here trying to play this government planning thing where we in our bureaus can figure out where the job should be, who should be employed, how much money should be allocated where in the private sector. It never works. It's socialism. It's never worked anywhere before. So what are we doing trying to do it here?
But would you consider the fact that South Carolina's track record on bringing major projects into this state has a winning record, and therefore, again, commerce should be listened to rather than those people back in your district that may not have ever brokered a deal, may not understand what it means of being a project, may not understand economic incentives. So what you're suggesting is we should listen to the people back home in your district rather than the people at Commerce that have been successful at bringing these mega deals to South Carolina.
Mr. Rutherford, I don't think that you could have espoused a philosophy that disagrees more fundamentally than me. I completely disagree with you, and I think that you believe what you just said. But no, I 100% am going to listen to the people back home who I represent in this House, and you should listen to the 40,000 people in your area, and not the bureaucrats at Commerce, and not the lobbyists, and not the multi-billion-dollar international corporations. You should listen to your constituents like I am. So yes, I will always fall back on the common sense of the wonderful people from Taylor's and Greenville Eastside, far more than I will ever listen to unelected bureaucrats, other representatives in here who have been here for far too long and have maybe managed a whole lot of these deals, and far more than I will ever listen to any member out there.
So, Mr. Morgan,
boy, I felt like I was in church. What's up, everyone? It's House Queen here today. We're going to be talking about, I want to actually not talk about, what we're going to give an analysis about corruption in our political parties, in our political apparatus that they call Congress. And as you saw in the intro, that man was spitting for 2 straight minutes. And you see how the social, not the socialism, but the globalist agenda is in our is in our Congress, right? And this is why I'm such a nationalist now. Is because I see that they're putting foreign interest, multinational corporations, organizations, their interests, and they expect Congress people who are elected by national citizens of the United States of America to follow along their plan because it's supposed to bring jobs to these people's districts. And you see the almost the I'm higher than thou. Oh, you think your people know more than us? Yes. I mean, it's like language. Oh, we want to create a language that's more concise and it's such a better English. Such a better language than English. It's trying to normalize this idea that there's people in authority that know more than us. And that's a fallacy. Just because you brokered these big deals and you've done all this stuff, but look at the spending. You're doing that on our dime. You're taking money out of my pocket. I don't care how you say it, informed you are. If the resources is coming out of my pocket, I have a say. If I say, I want more consideration over here, not over there, you worried about the wrong stuff. And then you tout it, oh, look what I've done for you. And this kind of going to expose some of the agenda and the corruption that we have in our Congress, right? Biden's Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, says she regrets saying inflation was transitory. She's supposedly supposed to be an expert, but, basic economics play to play. If you spend more money than you make, you in financial trouble. That's modern monetary theory. Check it out. If you want to see the dumbest idea ever, it's modern monetary theory. This idea that government can put itself into debt, it can print unlimited money, and it will not be a problem to our finances. As we can see, it's created a bad incentive in our Congress. Political corruption. Another form of political corruption. I'm going to point this at the Democratic Party because I believe Democratic Party are the most corrupt out of the two parties. Yes, there's corrupt Republicans. Yes, there's big government-loving Republicans in our party. Of course, just like there's conservative Democrats in the Democratic Party, well, they're a dying species in the Democratic Party. But I believe most of the corruption is coming from the Democratic Party. One example of the Democratic Party is Eric Holder, Barack Obama's attorney general. And the Republicans, and this is something that a lot of Democrats do not want to admit, this is a conflict of interest. And this is an example of the political corruption that in the intro, this congressman exposes and pointing out that these people are doing things in their own interest. They put party over nation. They put global entities over nation. America last agenda. This is what I'm trying to highlight here with this point. And Democrats are the party of American last. If that's anything, if Republicans want to win, that's the number one message they need to hone in on. Because Eric Holder is a perfect example of this. You know how Democrats like to tout, we go after big businesses, we find them, we hold them accountable, we regulate them. Democrats create regulation, and you can regulate your way into tyranny. So you're going to create so many rules that eventually a corporation is going to break one of them, and it's up to you whether you go after them for that or not. And this is the game Democrats are playing. This is the game that socialists play. This is the game that communists play. Once you break the law and you did something and they feel like, okay, we're going to hold you accountable for the laws you've been breaking for a while now. You just didn't know it. I fine you. Boom. After you find the businesses, Eric Holder used to say, hey, if you want to settle, one way you can settle is by paying or donating to a specific Democrat non-party political groups. And Republicans say, oh my God, this is corruption. You're creating a Democratic slush fund. Did the mainstream media cover this? No. The only news outlet that covered it was what? The New York Post and Fox News. And Democrats have already trained their supporters. And this is why I laugh when a liberal come in my comment section and call me a mega cultist, even though I was a Vivek supporter. But I'm a Trump cultist. Oh, look at you, Kenny. You're a mega cult. You're part of the mega cult. It's a shameful as a black man that you such yourself is in this cult. But then when I point out how Democrats are more likely to block people of different ideological opinions, Democrats are the only people based on political groups. Independents and Republicans do not trust the mainstream media. Democrats overwhelmingly trust the mainstream media, 70%. Right? Most of the mainstream media did not cover this Eric Holder situation, how he was using company fines, government fines against businesses to redirect it to fund political action groups. The liberals didn't cover that. Conservatives did. And to make sure that their people never get exposed to this information, they slander Fox News. Oh, where did you get that from, Kenny? Fox News? I didn't see any other news corporations covering this story. So it's obviously Fox News made it up. No, look at the government precincts. Look at the circumstances. Look at the fines that you held Wells Fargo accountable for, and look what they did with the money. Right? Look for the examples. But instead of worrying about what's actually said, they worry about who said it. And this is the problem with liberals. This is why liberals earn the moniker out of touch. Because you don't know what's going on. You only follow 5 news media, and you say, I got 5 sources. You only got 1, Kenny. Well, your 5 sources are all left-leaning. All left-leaning. So, of course, they're not going to cover the one. But because I covered the contrarian side, the opposing opinion, you want to smear me as misinformation. This breeds into more of this corruption in our political apparatus, and I want to kind of take my time speaking about it. One of the biggest political apparatus I want to highlight is the whole immigration issue. Let's take a look about the conflict of interest that the Democratic Party has over allowing illegal immigrants to come into this country. Let's take a look.
But it's just extraordinary that you can't even get your amendment through.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But again, Maria, I think that this proves the motive behind the crime at our border. They want these illegal migrants in here to create more electoral power for them in their blue states. They're basically creating sanctuary cities to be a magnet so these people will disproportionately flow to these blue states. They're shipping them there as rapidly as they can. Since Joe Biden came into office, the estimates are as high as 10 million people that have come in here. That would be 13 extra congressional districts if you allocated them the right way. This is a tremendous amount of power that the Democrats are bringing in. They're giving their voters, the blue state voters, disproportionately more power than they are giving my voters in Tennessee.
As you can see, this is how Democrats benefit from illegal immigration. As an American, let's put away partisan loyalties. Let's move away tribal politics. As Americans, is it okay to allow one political group to allow a problem to continue being a problem so that way they can gain more power for their political team? As an Americans, we will say no. As an Americans, we want an equal playing field. Hey, we don't want to actively be negligent on the border so that way we can increase our own political power. That would be morally unjust, correct? Political corruption, conflict of interest. And when I point this out, Democrats don't want to care. That's why I say Democrats have not the monopoly, but they have the majority of the uninformed voter. This is why Democrats love high turnout. That's why Democrats love to get out to vote. Get out to vote even if you're not informed. Get out to vote. You can make an ignorant vote is a good vote for the Democratic Party. Biden administration deports only 834 people out of 335,000 Venezuelans after illegal border crossings. Does that sound right to you? Oh, look, I don't want to take out. Let's take as least amount of Democratic voters or whatever out of the country. This is why they make sanctuary cities. You saw it from the clip. I don't need to explain more. It's obvious. Do your own research, right? But this is just why I believe Democrats are some of the most corrupt people, or the most corrupt party out of the two. If you want to make the argument of lesser evil, the lesser evil is the Republican Party, hands down. Democrat senators admit his party needs America divided if they want to win. Why you think Democrats focus on identity politics? Why you think Democrats focus on wage gap, racial disparities? Oh my God, you make more money than me. It must be because of your race, right? Grant Cardone, can anyone explain to me the disparity between the bottom of this scale and the top? Indian Americans are some of the highest earning ethnic groups in America. And look at where white America at. Where white America is right in the middle at 59,000. And all these Asian Americans make more money than a white American. But who black people focus on? Who Democrats get black people riled up against? The white Americans. Oh no, look, white Americans are the problem. America's a racist country. America's is white supremacy. Look at the percentage of population with bachelor's degrees. 70% Indian American. The average is 28%. But in focus in Asian America, look at it. Almost majority in some cases are overwhelmingly college educated. Which, if we go by the stats, hey, college graduation has a correlation with higher income. I explained something without using race. Do you think the Democrats care about that? No. They're going to tell you, oh, it's because of racism. That's what's stopping you black folks. Just vote for us for 90% because they need your vote to what? Stay in power. Political corruption, right? Biden's economy makes no sense. It's simply an excuse to attack Republicans' opinion piece by Bren Shapiro. If Biden policies was widely unpopular, everyone would overlook the fact that the man walks into walls. But his policies are terrible. On Tuesday, it was reported that the index of consumer prices rose 3.2% in February for 1 year early. We try to keep the rate at 2%, but we are still clocking in above 3%, which is 50% higher than what we want. Core price in the inflation is sitting at 3.8 again, and we aimed at 2%. That means all of the interest rates are going to remain high for the foreseeable future. The Federal Reserve tried to combat inflation by increasing the interest rates. The overnight rate at which the Federal Reserve lends to banks and the banks lends to one another, and that is then passed on to the consumers. The basic idea is that you tighten up the credit, fewer people are borrowing, less money flows around the economy, means prices tend to decrease. That's the reason to increase interest rate, right? Because these are the experts, right? This is why a lot of people are in favor. This is why a lot of people like me want the Federal Reserve abolished, because inflation was never a thing until Federal Reserve got into play. Until we let a group of people essentially play God over the economy, and they're messing up the system. They're like, oh, I think inflation should be 2%, when in reality, the actual rate should be 7%. But you're putting your thumb on the scale. And it's causing unintended consequences, which is what we're experiencing now. The Federal Reserve wants to decrease the interest rate in advance of the election to get that money flowing again, to heat up the economy, to make sure that hiring stays that's really high, leading to Biden's re-election efforts in November. My thing is it a good idea to have these political activists, like these political people, having control over your livelihood? So that way they can look good for an election. So that way they can convince a bunch of low information voters to vote for them. Is that a good thing in America? I'm asking you a question here. Is that a good thing? Because I think it's time for us to wake up. Because at the end of the day, as much as we like to complain about politicians, who elects them? We're the root cause of the problem. We are the root cause of the problem because we no longer know how the ship functions. We no longer know how the government functions. This is the majority of Americans. In my ideal world, majority of Americans, about 80% of Americans, have a in-depth understanding of how government functions. You think if America was 80% moderate to high information voters, that you think a lot of the parties, the way they're looking right now, will be the case today? Hell no, it won't. We always complain, oh, why the quality of our politician doesn't go up. The quality of their politicians only go up as the people does. And right now we have wolves in the White House. We have wolves in Congress. We have wolves in the Senate. And now we have an old geriatric party, that can essentially tell the Federal Reserve, hey, I need you to lower the interest rate so I can look good for November. Keep them high as much as possible as he gets closer. And it's predictable. People in Wall Street know this. They're like, okay, Biden's going to try to get them to lower the interest rates in this time window. That's when we're going to hit. That's when we're going to make a lot of money. And then obviously, if he wins, he'll have to put it down again. That's how they play. They time in the market, literally. Inside trading, right? This is insider trading, right? But, you know, this is what happens when you're not paying attention, right? Because most people find the technicalities of government, how government function, boring. But then when I talk about cultural issues, when people talk about cultural issues, oh my God, everyone's excited. Everyone wants to talk. Everyone wants to give their chime in. That's why I believe in trying to educate the populace. Inflation is not cooperating. So interest rates are really likely to stay high, which is why a few years ago you can get a mortgage for 3%. Now the mortgage roughly will cost you 7%, right? The stickiness in the real estate market is creating not by demand, but for single family housing, but by the lack of actual supply. No one can sell their high priced house right now because if they did, the interest rate for their current mortgage, which they took out over 5 years at 3%, would increase to 7% for the new mortgage for their new house. So nobody actually selling right now, right? And I don't want to go too much into the technicalities, but political corruption. Eric Swalwell tries to impeach Trump at her hearing. Gets frustrated when her won't help, right? So I'm going to give you a clip of this interaction, and then I'll wrap up this video about political corruption. Let's take a look.
Is a story that so many of us know through our constituents. It's the story of America. It's a story that the guy who appointed you would end if he was in charge again. It's a story that most of the folks on the other side of the aisle seek to block every day in this room, but it's a story that's persuasive. You want your report to be received with credibility, is that right?
My goal was to provide a thorough explanation of my decision to the Attorney General, as I was required to do. And as I said in my opening statement, I felt that I needed to show my work.
And you want to be received as credible, right?
That would be helpful and laudable, yes.
Well, a lot has changed since 2018 for the person who appointed you, former President Trump. Since you were appointed, he was impeached for leveraging 350 million U.S. taxpayer dollars over Ukraine to get dirt on President Biden. He was then impeached a second time for inciting an insurrection. He was charged for possessing classified documents and obstructing justice. He was charged for paying for the silence of a porn star. He was charged in Georgia for his role in January 6th. He was charged in the District of Columbia for his role in January 6th. He owes $400 million to the state of New York for defrauding the state through his taxes, and he has been judged a rapist. You want to be perceived, understandably, as credible, and so I want to first see if you will pledge to not accept an appointment from Donald Trump if he is elected again as president.
Congressman, I'm not here to testify
Seems like an easy
about
answer.
what will happen in the future.
Considering what I just laid out.
I'm here to talk about the report and the work that went into it. And
But you don't want to be associated with that guy again, do you?
Congressman, I'm not here.
Sleazy, just sleazy. Like, imagine all of this optic games, and this is what the left like to do, right? And this is another aspect of political corruption that I can't really stand, and I think that this is why I want to focus on the voters. This is why I want to focus on my fellow Americans, my fellow constituents, my fellow countrymen, because I don't want them to continue getting duped by people like Eric Swalwell. He listed out, oh, these are facts, right? Yeah, sure, they're facts. Yeah, he did get charged $400 million. Okay, but that's out of context. Like, let's provide some context. Heavily Democratic state, New York, right? You got activists such as Letitia James, who ran on office saying, hey, I want to prosecute this guy, elect me, based on his name. There's even conflict of interest that she probably did it to raise her national profile so she could run for higher office. There's a lot of things that goes into that. And this is the setup. They do all these things. They break all these laws. They break precedent to levy all these charges against Trump. So that way they can sit back and say, oh, you don't want to be associated with this person, do you? It's craziness. They don't believe in innocent until proven guilty. They'd be like, hey, show me the man, I'll show you the crime. It doesn't matter how credible these charges are. He don't talk into that. He just like, hey, here's the narrative I want to put out. Here's my clip. I'm going to hit at her. Hey, her, you don't want to be appointed by this guy again because you're kind of good at your job and we don't want you to continue exposing us and Biden as bad actors and corrupt. No. We don't want you doing that. So can you pledge today you won't be accepting an appointment from Donald Trump? Because he found a competent guy. Special counsel here, hey, he's very competent at his job. Hey, I'm just here to show my work. You want to be perceived as credible. You see the answering the question because he knows. Journalism, majority Democrat. Is ruled ideologically by Democrats. So they're like, hey, I got my guys at the media. They can report this report as credible or uncredible. Just like when he said, oh, it's due to due to Biden's cognitive abilities, he cannot be held liable for this crime. They didn't like that narrative. And what the people in the media did, ran cover for Joe Biden. You want to be perceived as credible. That's what the threat is. And for a long time, I think America needs to be more skeptical. I don't care if you're skeptical of both parties. I don't care if you don't trust both parties. I believe you should. One thing for sure, I think we all can agree on: Democrats ain't the way. Yes, Democrats ain't the way because I think they're the most corrupt party. They have the most corrupt individuals. Eric Swalwell himself was caught up in some controversies, I believe. Yeah, he's gonna try to slander Trump. Something about Biden, something about a report. The dude wanted to focus on the report. He wanted to make it about Trump. Democrats talk about how much of their leaders, they lead from the front, but they're always looking backwards. Oh, we want to impeach a dude that's not president anymore. We failed again, but hey, we want to keep emotionally manipulating you so you can side with us. Nothing of substance is coming from that party anymore. And I think if you want Democrats to change, if you're a Democratic voter, you're a centrist, you just want to return to normal, you can't keep rewarding politicians like Eric Swalwell. You can't keep rewarding people who lie blatantly in your face, frame things in certain ways so that way you come down to a certain conclusions without any skepticism. Keep rewarding them with your vote and then pretend that everything's going to return the same. No, you're only going to incentivize them to do it even more. Just like soft on crime policies, you're going to embolden these politicians to take more advantage of you, to manipulate you even more because they believe you're stupid. That's all I have to say, guys. I hope you guys understand the video. I hope you guys found it insightful, valuable. I hope to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.